Your shoulder is pressed into the mattress in a way you know you'll feel tomorrow. Not pain yet, just a dull awareness, like a warning you're choosing to ignore. The pillow is warm on one side, cool on the other when you turn your head. There's a thread loose on the seam, and you've been rubbing it between your thumb and index finger for maybe 10 minutes. Maybe longer. You can't remember when you started. The ceiling is gray, not dark enough to be black, not light enough to be anything else. There's a water stain in the corner you noticed when you moved in and haven't thought about since. But now you're looking at it. It looks like a map of somewhere you've never been. Your calf muscle twitches once, a small involuntary jump, and then it's still. You flex your foot and point it. Feel the tendon stretch. Let it go. The blanket is pulled up to your ribs, but your left foot is sticking out, uncovered. And the temperature difference is strange. One leg warm under the flannel, one foot cool in the open air. You don't move to fix it. The clock on the nightstand faces away from you. You haven't looked at it in a while. Maybe an hour, maybe less. Time moves differently when you're lying here. Stretches out and compresses at the same time, like the way your breathing goes shallow when you think about checking your email again. Your email inbox. You looked at it at 9:47, after you'd already brushed your teeth. There was a message from your manager. Subject line, quick follow-up. Sent at 8:13. You saw the preview text. Something about circling back on the deliverables, and you closed the app without opening. Put the phone face down on the nightstand. The screen lit up the ceiling for a second. White light on gray, and then it was dark again. You haven't picked it up since. You know it's there, the glass cool. The silent weight of it. There's a notification badge you haven't cleared, and you know the number, but you're not going to look. Not right now. Your stomach makes a sound, low and gurgling, and you press your palm flat against it. You ate something around 6, a bowl of rice with an egg on top, but you left half of it. You remember standing at the counter, eating it, standing up, looking at your phone, scrolling through something you don't even remember now. The egg was overcooked, the yolk crumbly instead of runny. You ate it anyway. There's a car outside, headlights sweeping across the wall, a soft whoosh of tires on wet pavement. It's been raining on and off all day. Not hard, just a persistent drizzle that leaves the windows streaked. The sound when you were driving home was a steady hiss under the windshield wipers. A rhythm you didn't notice until it stopped at a red light. Then you noticed it again when it started. The car passes, and the room is quiet again. There is a hum from somewhere. Maybe the refrigerator in the kitchen. Maybe the building's heating system. It's constant enough that you don't usually hear it. But now, it's there. A low vibration. Under everything. You shift your weight onto your side. Pull your knee up. Feel the mattress dip. Your hip bone presses into the mattress, and it's uncomfortable. So you shift again, onto your back, arms at your sides. Your fingers find the hem of the sheet. A fold you smooth out, and then bunch up again without thinking. The Slack message from last week comes back. Not the content exactly, but the way it looked on the screen. The gray background, the blue dot next to your manager's name, the timestamp. 7:42 p.m. You were making dinner when it came through, chopping an onion, and you saw the notification flash on your phone propped against the salt shaker. You wiped your hands on your jeans to pick it up. It said, "Quick question when you have a sec," and you stared at it for a moment, then put the phone back down and finished chopping the onion. By the time you replied, 40 minutes later, The onion was in the pan, and you'd opened a can of tomatoes. Your eyes were still stinging. The question was about a client deliverable, something that wasn't due for 2 weeks. The manager wanted to know if you could add a few more scenarios to the analysis. You said yes, because that's what you say. And then you spent the rest of the evening trying to figure out how to fit it in without pushing back the other deadlines. You didn't eat until 9, and by then the food was cold. The tomatoes had reduced too much, and you ate it standing at the counter again, looking at your laptop. You roll onto your stomach, face turned toward the window. The blinds are half closed, slats tilted down, and the street light outside makes thin lines of orange light across the wall. You can see dust motes in the light when you focus, floating slowly, moving with the air from your breath. There's a tag on the pillowcase, the kind with washing instructions, and it's scratching your cheek. You pull it out, tuck it under the pillow, but it works its way back out. You give up and turn your face the other way. The meeting at 2:15 today. It was supposed to be a check-in, 30 minutes on the calendar. It ran to 52 minutes. You remember looking at the clock at 2:47 and seeing your manager's screen share, a spreadsheet with yellow highlighted cells, and her voice explaining something about alignment and stakeholder expectations. Her cursor moved across the screen in slow arcs, underlining things, circling things. You were supposed to be leading that project, but the meeting was her explaining to you what needed to change. The scope had expanded twice since the kickoff, and you'd been working weekends to keep up, and now there were new requirements that meant redoing the timeline. You said okay. You said, I can adjust. You said, let me update the tracker. And she said, great, thanks, with a tone that means the meeting is over. And then the screen went black, and you sat there for a minute looking at your own face in the reflection. Before you closed your laptop, your neck is tight. You notice it now, the way it is before a headache, a band of tension across the base of your skull. You try to roll your head side to side, but the pillow resists, and it doesn't help anyway. You let your head fall back, stare at the ceiling. The water stain is still there. It hasn't moved. You're not sure why you're looking at it again. Your phone buzzes once, a single vibration against the nightstand. A notification, probably. Something you don't need to see. You don't reach for it. You watch the ceiling, count the seconds until the screen goes dark. 7 seconds. Tip. Maybe 8. The rain starts again, a light patter against the window. Irregular at first, and then steadier. The sound fills the room in a way that makes it feel smaller, or maybe larger, you're not sure. The drops hit the glass and run down, catching the orange light from the street. You can see them if you turn your head, the way they gather and release. Gather and release. There's a memory from earlier this year. January, maybe. A Tuesday morning. You were in the kitchen making coffee. The French press. The one you've had since college. You remember the way the steam fogged up the window above the sink. And you wiped a circle clear with your pure palm and looked out at the street, at the ice on the branches of the tree outside. You were going into the office that day, the first time in weeks, and you'd ironed a shirt the night before. You remember thinking that you were looking forward to it. The drive, the change of scenery. The coffee was hot, and you held the mug with both hands, warming your fingers. That was before the reorg, before your manager became your manager, before the weekly check-ins became twice weekly, then 3 times a week, before the 9:47 p.m. messages. Tontor. You don't remember the last time you ironed a shirt. Your left eyelid starts twitching. That small flutter you get sometimes when you're tired. You press your finger against it. Hold it there until it stops. The pressure leaves a white spot in your vision for a second. Then it fades. The pillow has lost its cool side. It's warm now, all of it, and you flip it over. Feel the fabric against your cheek. It's cooler for a moment. Then, it's just the same. You think about the quarterly review from 2 months ago. It was in a conference room on the 3rd floor, the one with the whiteboard that never gets erased. Names and dates from previous meetings, still faint on the surface. Your manager sat across from you, her laptop open, a document on the screen you couldn't read from where you were sitting. She had a coffee cup with a lid, the kind from the cafe downstairs. And she took a sip before she started talking. The feedback was vague. Areas for growth, opportunities to be more visible, continued development. You remember the words, but not what they meant exactly. You asked for specifics, and she said, "I think you know," and smiled. And you didn't know, and you still don't know. There was a chart on the document she showed you briefly, a matrix of some kind. Your name in one box, and she closed it before you could read the other boxes. You remember the way the light came through the blinds in that room, horizontal stripes across the table, across her hands. You remember the sound of the HVAC system clicking on, a low rumble that made it hard to hear her for a moment. You remember nodding. When you got back to your desk, there were 3 Slack messages waiting. 2 from her. 1 from a colleague asking about a file you'd shared. You answered them in order, starting with the colleague. The file was in the shared drive, folder named KQQ2. You'd sent the link already, but you sent it again. Your calf muscle twitches again. The same one. A little stronger this time. You stretch your leg out straight, point your toes, feel the muscle pull. Hold it. Release. The sheet bunches under your knee. There's a noise from the apartment above. Footsteps. Slow and heavy, crossing the room. Your upstairs neighbor, the one who works nights, or maybe just someone who can't sleep either. The footsteps stop, and you hear a door close, muffled. Then silence. You haven't called your friend Sarah back. It's been 2 weeks. She left a voicemail. You remember listening to it, in the car on the way to the grocery store. Her voice saying, "Just wanted to catch up. Call me when you have a minute." You haven't called. You think about it sometimes. When you're driving, or when you're waiting for coffee to brew, and you think, "You'll do it later." And then later comes and you're tired, or you're working, or you're lying in bed looking at the ceiling. There was a walk you used to take after work, before it got dark. Down the hill to the park, around the loop, back up the hill. It took 23 minutes if you walked at a normal pace, 18 if you pushed it. You had a route, a path through the trees near the playground, and there was a bench halfway where you'd sit sometimes, if it was empty. You remember the way the light looked through the leaves in September, golden. The shadows long on the grass. You can't remember the last time you took that walk. Maybe October, maybe earlier. You drive past the park sometimes on your way home from the grocery store. See the path. Think, "I should go." And then you get home and there's an email, or a Slack message, or you're too tired to put your shoes back on. Your hands are cold. You tuck them under the blanket. Press them against your stomach. Feel the warmth through your shirt. The fabric is soft. A t-shirt you've had for years. The collar's stretched out. You can feel the seam of the blanket with your fingers. The stitching. the way it's slightly thicker along the edge. The meeting last month, the one with the entire team. There were 9 people on the call, their faces in squares on the screen, and your manager was presenting the new initiatives for the quarter. She was excited, her voice higher than usual, her hands moving as she talked about momentum and visibility and impact. You watched the faces of your colleagues, their expressions neutral, some of them nodding, one of them looking at something off-screen. When she got to the part about ownership, her cursor highlighted a section of the document, and you saw that 2 of the projects you'd been leading were being reassigned. Not taken away exactly, but shared. You would be collaborating with 2 other people now. The timeline was the same. The deliverables were the same, but you would be collaborating. After the meeting, you sat at your desk and looked at the calendar for the next week. The collaboration meetings were already scheduled, recurring, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. You didn't add them. They were already there. Your shoulder is starting to ache, the left one. The one you lean on when you're sitting at your desk. You roll it back. Feel the joint pop softly. A small release. The pillow is too flat, or maybe too high, you're not sure. You push it aside, lie flat. Your head against the mattress. It's firmer, cooler, and you can feel the weave of the fabric against your scalp. The water glass on the nightstand is half full. You filled it when you came to bed, from the tap, running it cold. There's a ring of condensation on the wood, a dark circle. You haven't taken a drink. You can see the glass from where you're lying, the way the light from the street hits it, a small gleam on the surface. You should drink some. You don't. Promotion you didn't get. It was last year, or maybe the year before. The timeline gets fuzzy. There was a role, a senior position, and you applied. You spent a weekend on the application, revising your resume, writing a cover letter that you read and rewrote so many times you couldn't tell if it was any good anymore. You had an interview with a woman from HR, then another interview with the department head, a man you'd met once at a holiday party. He'd asked you about your experience with a certain type of project, and you'd talked for 10 minutes about the work you'd done, the results, the feedback from clients. He'd nodded, taken notes on a yellow legal pad, and then asked if you had any questions for him. You asked about the team culture, and he said, "We're a family here." And you remember the way the fluorescent light above his head was flickering, a tiny strobe you could see in the reflection of his glasses. You didn't get the job. The person who did was someone from another department, someone you'd never worked with, someone who started 3 weeks later with a corner office and a window that faced south. You saw her in the hallway sometimes, and you'd nod, and she'd nod, and you'd keep walking to your cubicle, the one with the gray walls and the bulletin board where you'd pinned a postcard from a trip you took 3 years ago. You think about that postcard sometimes. It's from a beach, a photograph of water so blue it doesn't look real. You bought it at an airport on the way home, and you pinned it up when you got back because you thought it would remind you of something. You're not sure what. It's still there, the edges curling, the colors faded. Your leg is falling asleep, the one underneath, pins and needles starting in your thigh. You roll onto your back, shake it out, feel the blood rush back. Your foot tingles, and you point your toes, flex them, wait for the feeling to return to normal. The rain has stopped. You notice it when the sound is gone, the silence sudden, the way a room feels after a loud noise stops. The windows are dark, no light from outside except the orange glow of the streetlight. Steady now. No cars, no movement. You think about the coffee this morning. The first cup. You made it in the French press, the one you've had since college. And you poured it into the mug you always use, the blue one with the chip on the rim. You stood at the kitchen counter and looked at your laptop while you drank it, the screen already open to email. The first messages appearing as you scrolled. There were 17 new messages from overnight, most of them from colleagues in different time zones. And you read them in order, starting with the oldest. One of them was from a client, asking about a report that was due next week, and you replied before you finished the coffee. The coffee got cold. You drank it anyway, bitter, the last sip leaving a taste in your mouth. You tried to get rid of with water from the tap. You didn't eat breakfast. You told yourself you'd eat later. And then later came and you were in a meeting. And then another meeting. And then it was noon and you ate a granola bar from your desk drawer. The kind with the chocolate chips that melt in the wrapper if it's warm. It was warm. You ate it anyway. Your stomach makes another sound, louder this time. A gurgle that seems to echo in the quiet room. You press your hand against it again. Feel the emptiness. You should have eaten more. You knew you should have eaten more. But you were at your desk, and there was a Slack message. And then a call. And then you were looking at the clock, and it was 2:47. And you hadn't moved from your chair in 4 hours. The chair. The one you bought last year, after your back started hurting. It's black mesh, adjustable with a lumbar support that you adjusted once and haven't touched since. The armrests are worn where your elbows rest. A slight shine on the fabric. You spend more time in that chair than you do anywhere else. You know that, but you don't think about it usually. You're thinking about it now. The way it feels when you lean back. The slight give. The way the wheels catch on the rug when you try to roll too far. You turn onto your side, face the window. The blinds are still half closed, the slats angled, and you can see a slice of the street below. The pavement is wet, shining under the streetlight, and there's a car parked across the street. A sedan. Dark blue maybe, or black. It's hard to tell. It's been there all night. You noticed it when you came to bed, the way the light reflected off the roof, and you haven't thought about it since. Your phone buzzes again. 2 buzzes. A text message, or maybe an email. You don't move to check it. You watch the street, the way the light pools on the wet pavement, the way the shadows of the trees move slightly. Maybe wind, maybe nothing. There was a conversation you had with a colleague last week in the kitchen at work. You were filling your water bottle, and she was standing by the coffee machine, waiting for the pot to brew. She asked how you were doing, and you said, "Fine." And she said, "Are you though?" And you said, "Yeah, just busy." And she nodded and said, "Same." The coffee finished brewing, and she poured a cup, added creamer from the fridge, stirred it with a wooden stick. You remember watching her stir, the way the creamer swirled into the coffee, light brown on dark, until it was all the same color. She asked if you'd seen the email about the new software rollout, and you said yes, and she said more training. And you said, "Yeah," and then you both stood there for a minute, not saying anything, until the microwave beeped from the other room, and she said, "Well, back to it," and walked out. You stood there for another minute, holding your water bottle, looking at the coffee machine. The pot was half empty. You didn't want coffee. You didn't want anything. You went back to your desk, your jaws tight. You didn't notice until now, the way your teeth are pressed together, The muscle in your cheek tense. You let it go. Feel the release. The slight ache in your jaw joint. You run your tongue along your teeth. Front to back. Feel the smoothness of the enamel. The edge of a filling on the left side. There's a sound from somewhere. A click, like a door closing or a lock turning. It's soft, distant, maybe from the floor below, maybe from outside. You listen for another sound, but there's nothing. Just the hum of the building, the faint hiss of your own breath. You think about the spreadsheet you were working on today, the one with the yellow highlighted cells. You opened it at 8:47 this morning after the coffee, after the email. The cells were already highlighted. You don't remember when that happened. Maybe yesterday, maybe the day before. You spent an hour on it, entering data, checking formulas, and then you got a message from your manager asking for a quick sync, and the spreadsheet was still open when you got back from the call. The cursor blinking in the same cell, and you couldn't remember what you were doing before the call. You stared at it for a while, and then you started again. From the top. You finished it at 6:15 or maybe 6:30, you're not sure. You saved it, closed the window, looked at the desktop wallpaper, a photo of a mountain you downloaded years ago and never changed. You opened your email one more time, saw the message from your manager, the quick follow-up, and you closed the laptop, the screen going black, the sound of the fan winding down. Your left hand is resting on your chest, and you can feel your heartbeat, a steady thrum, faster than it should be maybe. Or maybe that's normal. You don't know. You count the beats for a while. 10, 15, 20. Lose track. Start again. Your fingers are still cold. The neighbor's footsteps again. Or maybe different footsteps. Lighter this time. Crossing from one side of the ceiling to the other. There's a creak, then another, then silence. You imagine them lying down too, looking at their own ceiling, their own water stain, their own questions that don't have answers. You haven't cooked a real meal in weeks. You know this because you opened the refrigerator today and saw the vegetables you bought last Sunday, the ones you said you'd roast on Monday, the ones that are now soft, the edges of the spinach leaves going brown. You closed the door without taking anything out. You ate the rice with the egg, the one that was overcooked, and you ate it standing up, looking at your phone, scrolling through something you don't remember. There was a time when you cooked. You'd come home from work, change into different clothes, put music on, chop vegetables, watch them brown in the pan. You'd set the table, even if it was just for you. A plate, a glass, a napkin folded. You'd sit down, eat slowly, taste the food. You'd wash the dishes after, dry them, put them away. It was a routine, a small thing, but it was something. Now you stand at the counter, eating whatever is fastest, whatever requires the least thought. The dishes pile up in the sink until there are no clean plates. And then you wash one, just one, enough for whatever you're eating next. The napkins are still in the drawer, the same stack you bought months ago, untouched. Your eyelid starts twitching again, the same one. The left. You press your finger against it, hold it, wait. It stops, then starts again, a flutter that you can feel more than see. You let it go. Let it twitch. Don't touch it. The clock on the nightstand is still facing away. You could reach for it, turn it, see what time it is, but you don't. You know it's late, or early, the hours blending together. The darkness outside the window deep and still. There's no hint of morning yet, no lightening of the sky, just the orange glow of the streetlight, the shadows of the blinds on the wall. You think about the last time you felt excited about something. Not happy, not content, but excited, the way you used to feel on a Friday afternoon. The weekend stretching out in front of you, possibility. You try to remember a specific moment, a specific feeling, and you come up with nothing. There's a blank space where that feeling used to be. A space you didn't notice was empty until now. Lying here in the dark, trying to fill it with something. There was a trip you planned last year. A weekend away. A cabin in the woods. You booked it, packed a bag, drove 3 hours on a Friday afternoon. You remember the drive, the way the highway opened up after you passed the last suburb, the trees on either side, the sky wide and gray. You arrived after dark, found the key in the lockbox, let yourself in. The cabin was small, 1 room, a bed, a stove, a table. There was a stack of firewood by the door, and you built a fire, sat on the floor in front of it, watched the flames. You stayed for 2 days. You walked in the woods, made coffee on the stove, read a book you'd been meaning to read. You didn't check your email. You didn't look at Slack. You came back on Sunday afternoon, unpacked your bag, and on Monday morning you were at your desk, looking at your inbox, the 137 unread messages, and it felt like you'd never left. You haven't planned another trip. You think about it sometimes. Open a browser tab, look at cabins, look at flights, and then you close the tab. There's always something, a deadline, a meeting, a project that can't wait. Your hip is sore, the one you were lying on before you rolled onto your back. You press your fingers into it, feel the muscle, the bone beneath. It's not sharp, just a dull ache, the kind that comes from sitting too long, from lying too long, from being in one position for hours. The water glass is still there, half full. You look at it, the way the light catches the rim, a thin line of brightness. You should drink some. Your mouth is dry, the taste of the cold coffee still there. The granola bar, the nothing you ate for dinner. You reach for the glass, your hand moving in the dark, fingers finding the cool surface. You pick it up, bring it to your lips, feel the water on your tongue. It's room temperature now. The ice long melted, but it's wet, and you drink half of what's left. Set the glass back down. The condensation ring is larger now, the water spreading into the wood. Your phone is still face down. You can see the edge of it, the black glass, the way it reflects the light from the street. It hasn't buzzed again, or maybe it has, and you didn't notice. You don't reach for it. There was a moment in the meeting today, the one that ran to 52 minutes, when your manager said something about capacity and bandwidth, and you felt something in your chest, a tightening, a pressure. She was talking about the new requirements, the expanded scope, and she said, "I know you can handle it," in a way that wasn't a question. You nodded, and she kept talking, and the pressure stayed, a weight behind your ribs, until the call ended, and you sat there looking at the spreadsheet, the yellow cells, the cursor blinking. You think about the phrase, "I know you can handle it." You've heard it before, from previous managers, from your parents, from people who don't know what it costs. You've said it to yourself, in your head, when you're looking at a to-do list that's too long, a timeline that's too short. You can handle it. You always handle it. But there's a difference between handling something and carrying it. And you're not sure which one you've been doing. Your stomach tightens, a small cramp, and you press your palm against it. Breathe slowly. Wait for it to pass. It does, after a few seconds, leaving a hollow feeling behind. An emptiness that isn't just hunger. The rain starts again, a light tapping on the window. Soft at first, then harder. A steady rhythm that fills the room. The sound is familiar. The sound of lying in bed, listening to rain. And for a moment you're somewhere else. Somewhere before. A different apartment. A different bed. A window that faced a different street. You remember the way the rain sounded on that window. A metal awning above it. The drops hitting the metal like small bells. You'd lie there and listen, and you wouldn't think about work, or email, or the things you hadn't done. You'd just listen. You're listening now, but it's different. The rain on this window is softer, the glass older, the sound muffled. You hear it, but you're also hearing the hum of the building, the buzz of your own thoughts, the list of things you didn't finish today, the things you need to do tomorrow. The rain is there, but it's not the only thing. Your leg is cold, the one that was uncovered. You pull the blanket down, cover it. Feel the warmth of the fabric against your skin. The sheet is twisted, bunched around your knees, and you straighten it with your feet. Push it down, feel it smooth out. You think about the promotion again, the one you didn't get. You think about the person who got it, the one with the corner office. You've seen her in meetings, her camera always on, her background a bookshelf with actual books, not the virtual background everyone else uses. She speaks in meetings, her voice steady, her points clear, and when she speaks, people listen. You wonder if that's what you're missing, that confidence, that clarity, or maybe it's something else, something you can't name, something you don't have. There was a review you did a few months ago, a self-assessment, the kind where you list your accomplishments, your strengths, your areas for improvement. You spent an afternoon on it, going back through your calendar, your email, finding the things you'd done that you'd forgotten about. There were more than you expected, but when you looked at the list, it didn't feel like enough. It never feels like enough. You added more. Projects you'd supported, meetings you'd led, feedback you'd received. You sent it to your manager, and she replied with, "Thanks." And that was it. No follow-up, no conversation, just thanks. Your neck is still tight, the band of tension across the base of your skull, and you reach up, press your fingers into the muscle. Feel the knots. You push, hard, until it hurts, then ease off. The pain radiates up into your scalp, down into your shoulder. You do it again. Find another knot, press, hold, release. It doesn't help, not really, but it's something to do, something to focus on besides the thoughts that keep circling. The ceiling is still gray, the water stain still there, the map of somewhere you've never been. You look at it, trace the edges with your eyes, the way it spreads, the darker patch in the center. You wonder if the people who lived here before looked at it. If they lay in this bed and traced the same shape, thought the same thoughts, or different one. You don't know. You'll never know. Your hand is still on your neck, the fingers cold against the warm skin. You pull it away, tuck it under the blanket, feel the fabric, the softness of the flannel. The blanket is old, the one from the apartment before, the one that's pilled from years of washing. You think about getting a new one sometimes, A heavier one. A warmer one. But you never do. It's fine. It's enough. The Slack message from 9:47. You didn't open it, but you saw the preview. Circling back on the deliverables. There's something about that phrase, circling back, that you've come to hate. It means something wasn't done, or something was forgotten, or something needs to be done again. It's a polite way of saying, you haven't done this yet. It's a soft tap on the shoulder, a reminder that you're behind, that you're not keeping up, that there's always more. You think about the deliverables. There were 3 of them, due at the end of the week, and you'd finished 2, or almost finished, or you thought you had. The 3rd one was the one with the expanded scope, the one that needed the new analysis, the one that would take another day, maybe 2. You'd planned to work on it tomorrow, but now there's the quick follow-up. And you know what it's going to say before you open it. There's been a change. There's always a change. Your eyes are dry, the way they get after staring at a screen for too long. And you blink, feel the grit, the slight burn. You close them, keep them closed. See the afterimage of the streetlight, an orange glow behind your eyelids. You count your breaths, in and out. 1, 2, 3. And then you lose count, your mind wandering, coming back, wandering again. There was a meeting last month, a Friday at 4 p.m. The kind of meeting that shouldn't exist. It was a retrospective. The team looking back at the quarter, talking about what went well and what could be improved. You sat in your chair, the black mesh one, and listened to people talk. One person said, communication could be improved. Another person said, alignment. Another person said, work-life balance. And there was a pause, a silence that lasted too long, and then someone laughed. And the conversation moved on. You didn't say anything. You sat there, your camera off, and watched the squares of your colleagues' faces, their expressions neutral, their mouths moving, and you wondered if any of them meant it, the work-life balance thing, or if it was just something to say. After the meeting, you closed your laptop and sat in the dark for a while, the room lit only by the window, the gray light of the late afternoon. You could hear cars outside, the sound of people leaving work, doors closing, engines starting. You sat there until the light changed, until the room was dark, and then you got up and went to the kitchen and stood in front of the open refrigerator, looking at nothing, for a long time. Your shoulder's aching again, the left one, and you roll onto your side, the opposite side. Let the weight come off it. Your right arm is underneath you, pinned, and you pull it out. Feel the pins and needles start in your finger. You shake your hand, open and close your fist. Wait for the feeling to come back. The rain is lighter now. A drizzle, the sound fading in and out, like a radio station that's just out of range. You listen to it, the irregular pattern, the way it hits the glass, runs down, hits again. You think about the window in your office, the one that faces the parking lot, the view of the cars, the dumpster, the strip of grass that's always brown. You look out that window sometimes, when you're on a call that doesn't require your camera, and you watch the cars come and go, the people walking to their cars, their bags in their hands, their phones in their pockets. You wonder where they're going, what they're thinking, if they're thinking about work, or about dinner, or about the things they didn't get done. Your phone buzzes again. 3 buzzes, A call maybe, or a series of messages. You don't reach for it. You watch it, the edge of it, the way it sits on the nightstand, the black glass reflecting the orange light. It buzzes again, twice, and then it's quiet. You think about the person on the other end, whoever it is, waiting for a reply, looking at their own screen, waiting for the 3 dots that mean you're typing. They'll be waiting for a while. You are not typing. You're lying here in the dark, looking at the ceiling, at the water stain, at the shadows of the blinds. There was a time when you would have answered, any time, any message. You'd reach for the phone without thinking, unlock it, type a reply, send it, put it back. It was automatic, a reflex, like breathing. Now you let it buzz, let it sit, let it wait. You don't know when that changed exactly, but it changed. Somewhere along the way, you started leaving the phone face down, started letting the notifications pile up, started forgetting to reply, or remembering and not having the energy. Your chest is tight, the way it gets sometimes. A pressure that isn't pain but isn't nothing. You breathe in, slow. Feel your ribs expand, the pressure ease. Then return. You breathe out, slower. Feel the release, the slight relaxation of your shoulders. You do it again, in and out, in and out. And for a moment the pressure is less, and then it's back, and you stop counting. Stop trying. The meeting at 10 a.m. tomorrow. You know it's there, on the calendar. A block of gray from 10 to 11. The title QQQ Planning. The attendees listed, your manager, your manager's manager. 4 other people whose names you know, but whose faces you don't associate with anything specific. You'll log on at 9:55. Your camera off, your microphone muted. And you'll sit there, looking at the screen, waiting for it to start. Someone will share their screen. A presentation, a spreadsheet, a timeline. Someone will talk about goals and objectives and key results. You'll listen, take notes, nod when everyone else nods, say, okay, when it's your turn to speak. And then it will be 11, and the call will end, and you'll have another hour of work to catch up on, because you didn't get anything done while you were on the call. Your leg is twitching again, the calf muscle, a small flutter that you can see under the blanket, the fabric moving slightly. You press your heel into the mattress. Stretch. Feel the muscle pull. Release. It stops, then starts again, and you let it, not moving, just feeling. The water glasses on the nightstand, the level lower than it was, the ring of condensation spreading. You can see it from the corner of your eye, the shape of it, the way the light catches the curve. You think about getting up, going to the kitchen, refilling it. But the thought of moving, of putting your feet on the floor, of walking across the cold tile, is too much. You stay where you are, your head on the pillow, your hand on your chest, your breath slow and shallow. There was a weekend last month, or maybe the month before, when you didn't leave the apartment. You stayed in bed until noon, then got up, made coffee, sat on the couch, watched something on your laptop. You didn't shower. You didn't change your clothes. You ate toast, standing at the counter, and then you went back to the couch, and you stayed there until it was dark, and then you went to bed. You told yourself you were resting, catching up, that you needed it. And you did need it. But it didn't feel like rest. It felt like something else. something you don't have a word for. Your phone buzzes again, a single buzz, and then it's quiet. You think about the badge, the number you haven't cleared, the messages you haven't read. You think about the email from your manager, the one you didn't open, the one that's been sitting there since 8:13. You know you'll open it tomorrow, first thing, before coffee, before anything else. You'll read it, and you'll reply, and you'll start the day the way you always start it, with a message that needs an answer, a task that needs doing, a thing that wasn't finished. Your jaw is tight again, the muscle clenched, and you let it go. Feel the ache in your teeth, the soreness in your cheeks. You run your tongue along your gums, the inside of your lips, the dry skin. Your mouth is dry, the water from the glass already gone. Or maybe it was never enough. You don't reach for the glass again. The rain has stopped. You notice it when the silence is complete. No sound outside. No sound inside. Just the hum of the building. The faint sound of your own breath. The room is darker than it was. Or maybe your eyes have adjusted. The shadows deeper. The shapes less distinct. The water stain on the ceiling is still there, but you can barely see it now. Just a darker patch in the gray. You think about the email you sent yesterday, or was it today, the one with the updated timeline, the one where you explained that the deliverables would be delayed because of the expanded scope. You wrote it carefully, choosing your words, trying to be clear without sounding like you were complaining. You said due to additional requirements and revised timeline, and working to finalize by. You sent it at 4:17, and you watched your inbox for a reply, but none came. You don't know if that's good or bad. Your neck is still tight, the band of tension still there, and you reach up again, press your fingers into the muscle, feel the knots. You push, harder this time, until it hurts, a sharp pain that makes you wince, and then you stop, let your hand fall back to the bed. The pain fades, but the tension doesn't. There was a moment today in the afternoon when you walked to the kitchen to refill your water bottle, and you stood by the window, the one that faces the parking lot, and you looked out at the sky. It was gray, the same gray as the ceiling, and there was a bird on the roof of the building across the lot. A small bird, a sparrow maybe, and it was sitting there, not moving, just sitting. You watched it for a minute, maybe longer, and then it flew away, and you went back to your desk, and you sat down, and you opened the spreadsheet again, and you kept working. Your hand is cold again, the one that was on your chest, and you tuck it under the blanket, press it against your stomach, feel the warmth of your skin through the shirt. The fabric is soft, the t-shirt you've had for years, and you pull at the collar, the stretched out edge, feel the threads, the slight give. The neighbor above is quiet now. No footsteps, no doors, just silence. You imagine them asleep, their breathing slow, their body still, the way you're supposed to be. You close your eyes, try to imagine sleep, the feeling of it, the letting go, but it doesn't come. You're here, awake, your body on the bed, your mind somewhere else, or nowhere, or everywhere. You think about the drive home today, the rain on the windshield, the wipers moving back and forth, the sound of them, the rhythm. You took the long way, through the residential streets, past the houses with their lights on, the windows glowing yellow, the shapes of people moving inside. You stopped at a red light, and there was a woman crossing the street, A dog on a leash. A small dog. A terrier, maybe. And the woman was wearing a yellow raincoat, the hood up, and she was looking at her phone, walking slowly. The dog pulling ahead. The light turned green, and you waited, watched her cross, and then you drove on. You don't know why you remember that, the yellow raincoat, the way it stood out in the gray light, the way the woman didn't look up, didn't see the light change, didn't see you waiting. It's a small thing, a detail, but it's there in your head, along with all the other details, the ones that don't matter, and the ones that do. Your stomach makes a sound again, a gurgle, and you press your hand against it. Feel the emptiness. You think about the egg, the overcooked one, the way the yolk crumbled when you cut into it. You think about the rice, the way it stuck together, clumps of white on the plate. You think about the granola bar, the melted chocolate chips, the way they stuck to your teeth. You should have eaten more. You know you should have eaten more. But you didn't, and now it's late, or early. And you're lying here, your stomach empty, your body tired, your mind full of things you can't put down. Your phone buzzes again. One buzz, a notification, and then silence. You don't move. You don't look. You let it sit there, face down. The glass cool, the weight of it, the weight of everything it contains. The ceiling is still gray, the water stain still there, the map of somewhere you've never been. You look at it, trace the edges with your eyes, the way it spreads, the way it fades into the gray. You think about the people who lived here before, if they lay in this bed and looked at the same stain, if they traced the same shape, if they wondered the same things. You don't know. You'll never know. Your leg is cold again. The blanket pulled up uneven, and you reach down. Pull it up. Cover your feet. Feel the warmth of the flannel. The sheet is twisted, the fabric bunched, and you try to smooth it with your feet. But it doesn't work, so you leave it. There was a conversation you had with a friend, months ago, over text. She asked how work was, and you said, busy, and she said, same. And then she asked if you wanted to get dinner next week, and you said, ice. And then you didn't. And then she stopped asking. You think about her sometimes. The way she used to text you memes, the way you'd send them back, the way you'd laugh at things that weren't funny. You scroll through your texts sometimes, looking at the last one, the one from her, the one that says, let me know when you're free. And you think about replying, but you don't. You don't know what to say. Your shoulder is aching again, the left one, and you shift onto your back. Let your arms rest at your sides. Feel the mattress under you, the slight dip in the middle. The pillow is under your head, too flat, or maybe too high. And you push it aside. Lie flat against the mattress. Feel the weave of the fabric against your scalp. The room is quiet. The rain stopped. The car's gone. The neighbors still. There's only the hum of the building, the sound of your breath, the beat of your heart, the thoughts that won't stop. You think about the project that started this, the one that expanded, the one that keeps expanding. You think about the first email, the one that said, we have an opportunity, the way you felt when you read it, the way you said yes before you thought about it. You think about the meetings, the calls, the late nights, the weekends. You think about the way it felt at the beginning, the excitement, the possibility, the sense that you were doing something important. And then you think about now, the way it feels, the weight of it, the way it's become something else, something you don't recognize. Your hand is on your chest again and you can feel your heartbeat, the steady rhythm, the way it speeds up when you think about the things you haven't done, slows down when you let your mind go blank. You count the beats again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you lose count, your mind wandering, coming back, wandering again. The water glass is still there, half full or half empty, depending on how you look at it. You look at it, the way the light catches the rim, the way the water sits, still, unmoving. You think about drinking the rest of it, but you don't. You let it sit. There was a moment this morning when you were pouring the coffee, the steam rising from the French press, the smell of it, the way it filled the kitchen. You stood there, holding the press, the plunger halfway down, and you looked out the window at the street, at the cars parked along the curb, at the tree with the branches that are still bare, and for a moment, you weren't thinking about anything. You were just standing there, holding the press, watching the steam, watching the light, and then the plunger reached the bottom, and you poured the coffee, and the moment was gone. Your neck is tight, the band of tension still there, and you roll your head side to side, feel the stretch, the slight release. You do it again, slower, and then you stop. Let your head fall back. Stare at the ceiling. The water stain is still there. It hasn't moved. You're not sure why you keep looking at it. Your phone is still face down. You can see the edge of it, the black glass, the way it reflects the light. It hasn't buzzed in a while. Or maybe it has and you didn't notice. You don't reach for it. You think about the things you didn't do today, the call you didn't return, the email you didn't answer, the walk you didn't take, the meal you didn't cook, the friend you didn't text, the things you said you'd do, the things you meant to do, the things that are still there, waiting, like the water glass, like the phone, like the stain on the ceiling. Your leg is twitching again, the calf muscle, a small flutter, and you let it, not moving, just feeling. The blanket is pulled up to your ribs, your left foot uncovered, the temperature difference strange. One leg warm, one foot cool. You don't move to fix it. The rain starts again, a light patter. Soft at first, then steady. The sound filling the room, filling the silence. You listen to it, the way it hits the glass, the way it runs down, the way it gathers and releases. You listen, and for a moment, you're not thinking about anything else. You're just listening. Your eyes are closing, or maybe they're already closed, you're not sure. The sound of the rain is there, and the hum of the building, and your breath, and your heart. You're here, in this room, in this bed, in this moment, and the thoughts are still there, but they're softer now, quieter, like the rain, fading in and out, in and out. Your hand is on your chest, and you can feel your heartbeat, the steady rhythm, the way it slows, the way it speeds up, the way it finds its own pace. You don't count it. You just feel it. The water glass is on the nightstand, the ring of condensation spreading, the water still. You don't look at it. You don't reach for it. Your phone is face down, the screen dark, the notifications waiting, the messages unread. You don't think about them, or you do, but you let them go. Let them sit Let them wait. The rain is steady now, a constant sound, and you listen to it, the rhythm of it, the way it fills the room, the way it fills the space between your thoughts. You're here in the dark, in the quiet, and the questions are still there. The ones you don't have answers to. The ones you've been asking yourself all night. But they're not as loud as they were. They're softer now, blurred at the edges, like the water stain on the ceiling, like the light from the street, like the shape of the glass on the nightstand. Your shoulder is aching, the left one, and you shift. Find a different position. Let the weight come off it. The mattress dips. The sheet shifts. The blanket settles. You're still. Your body still. Your breath slow. The rain is lighter now. The sound fading. And you listen to it. The way it goes. The way it comes back. The way it never really stops. Not completely. Not all at once. Your eyes are closed. You don't remember closing them. But they're closed. And the room is dark. The ceiling gray. The water stain somewhere above you. The map of somewhere you've never been. You're not looking at it anymore. You're not looking at anything. The phone buzzes. One buzz. A notification. A sound that cuts through the silence, through the rain, through the thoughts. It buzzes, and then it's quiet, and you don't move. Don't reach for it. Don't open your eyes. There's a car outside, the sound of it, the headlights sweeping across the wall. A brief flash of light behind your eyelids, and then it's gone. The room dark again. The rain steady again. Your breath slow again. You think about tomorrow. You think about the meeting at 10. The spreadsheet. The email you didn't open. The message you didn't answer. You think about the things you need to do. The things you didn't finish. The things that are waiting. You think about them. And then you let them go. Let them sit. Let them wait. Your leg is cold. The left foot uncovered. And you reach down, pull the blanket over it. Feel the warmth of the fabric, the softness of the flannel. You tuck it under your foot, feel it settle, feel the cold fade. The water glass is on the nightstand, the water still, the light catching the rim. You don't look at it. You don't reach for it. The rain is stopping. Or maybe it's already stopped, you're not sure. The sound is gone, or almost gone. Just a faint patter, a whisper, and then nothing. The room is quiet. The hum of the building, your breath, your heart. Your hand is on your chest, and you can feel your heartbeat, the rhythm of it, the way it slows, the way it finds its own pace. You let it beat. You let it be. The ceiling is gray. The water stains somewhere above you. But you're not looking at it. You're not looking at anything. Your eyes are closed. The room dark. The thoughts softer now. Quieter. Like the rain. Fading. Your shoulder is aching. But it's a distant ache. Something you notice. And then let go. Your neck is tight, but you don't reach for it. Your leg is warm now. The blanket tucked around it, the cold gone. The phone is face down, the notifications waiting, the messages unread. You don't think about them, or you do, but it's a distant thought. Something that's there and then not, like the rain, like the cars, like the footsteps above. You're here in the dark, in the quiet, and the questions are still there. But they're not questions anymore. They're just thoughts. Thoughts that come and go. Thoughts that don't need answers. Not tonight. Not right now. Your breath is slow, your body still, your eyes closed. The room is dark, the ceiling gray, the water stained somewhere above you, the map of somewhere you've never been. You're not going there. You're staying here, in this room, in this bed, in this moment. The rain starts again. Or maybe it never stopped. You're not sure. The sound is there, soft, steady, and you listen to it, the way it fills the room, the way it fills the silence, the way it holds you here, in this place, in this moment, in the dark. Your hand is on your chest, your heartbeat under your palm. The rhythm of it, the life of it. You feel it, and you let it be. The phone doesn't buzz. The car doesn't come. The neighbor doesn't move. There's only the rain, and your breath, and the slow, steady beat of your heart. Your eyes are closed, and you're not opening them. You're here in the dark, in the quiet, and the thoughts are there, but they're not loud, not sharp, not the way they were. They're soft, blurred, like the water stain, like the light from the street, like the shape of the glass on the nightstand. Your leg is warm, your foot covered, the blanket tucked around you. Your shoulder doesn't ache anymore, or maybe it does, but you don't notice. Your neck is looser, or maybe it's not, but you don't care. The rain is steady, the sound constant, and you listen to it, the way it fills the room, the way it fills you, the way it holds you here, in this moment, in this bed, in this dark. Your hand is on your chest, your heartbeat under your palm, and you feel it, the way it slows, the way it steadies, the way it finds its own rhythm. The water glass is on the nightstand, the water still, the light catching the rim. You don't see it. You don't need to. The phone is face down, the screen dark, the notifications waiting. You don't think about them. They're not here. They're somewhere else, somewhere you're not. You're here, in this room, in this bed, in this moment, and the rain is falling, and your breath is slow, and your heart is beating, and the questions are still there, but they're not questions anymore. They're just sounds, like the rain, like the hum of the building, like the soft, steady rhythm of your own breath. Your eyes are closed, and you're not opening them. You're here, in the dark, and you're staying here, for now, for this moment, for the next one, and the one after that. The rain is fading, the sound softer now, a whisper, a breath, and then it's gone, or almost gone. Just the memory of it, the echo of it, in the quiet of the room. Your hand is on your chest, and you feel your heartbeat, the slow, steady rhythm, the way it doesn't ask anything, doesn't need anything, just beats, just is. The ceiling is gray, the water stains somewhere above you, but you're not looking at it. You're not looking at anything. You're just here, in the dark, in the quiet, in the space between waking and sleeping, the space where the questions fade, where the thoughts soften, where the weight lifts, just a little, just enough. Your leg is warm, your foot covered, your body still. Your breath is slow, your eyes closed, your hand on your chest. The rain is gone, or maybe it's still there. You can't tell. The room is quiet, the silence full, the darkness deep. You're here, and you're not going anywhere. Not tonight, not right now. The phone doesn't buzz. The car doesn't come. The neighbor doesn't move. There's only the hum of the building, the soft sound of your breath, the slow, steady beat of your heart. Your eyes are closed, and you're not opening them. You're here in the dark, and the questions are still there, but they're softer now, quieter, like the rain, like the light, like the shape of the glass on the nightstand. You let them be. You let them sit. You let them wait. Your hand is on your chest, your heartbeat under your palm, and you feel it. The way it slows, the way it steadies, the way it finds its own pace, its own rhythm, its own way. The water glass is on the nightstand, the water still, the light catching the rim. You don't see it. You don't need to. The phone is face down, the screen dark, the notifications waiting. You don't think about them. They're not here. They're somewhere else. You're here, in this room, in this bed, in this moment. And you're staying here, for now, for this breath, for the next one, for the one after that. The rain starts again, a light patter, soft, steady, and you listen to it. The way it fills the room, the way it fills the silence, the way it holds you here, in the dark, in the quiet, in the space where the questions fade, where the thoughts soften, where the weight lifts, just a little, just enough. Your eyes are closed, and you're not opening them. You're here, and you're staying here, and the rain is falling, and your breath is slow, and your heart is beating, and the questions are still there, but they're not loud, not sharp, not the way they were. They're soft, blurred, like the water stain on the ceiling, like the light from the street, like the shape of the glass on the nightstand. You let them be. You let them sit. You let them wait. Your hand is on your chest, and you feel your heartbeat, the slow, steady rhythm, the way it doesn't ask anything, doesn't need anything, just beats, just is. You are here, in the dark, in the quiet, and you're staying here, for now, for this moment, for the next one, and the one after that. The rain is fading, the sound softer now, a whisper, a breath, and then it's gone, or almost gone, just the memory of it, the echo of it, in the quiet of the room. Your eyes are closed, and you're not opening them. You're here, and you're staying here, and the ceiling is gray, and the water stain is somewhere above you, and the phone is face down, and the water glass is half full, and the questions are still there, but they're not questions anymore. They're just thoughts, thoughts that come and go, thoughts that don't need answers. Not tonight, not right now. Your breath is slow, your body still, your hand on your chest. You feel your heartbeat, the slow, steady rhythm, and you let it be. You're here, in this room, in this bed, in this moment, and you're staying here, for now, for this breath, for the next one, for the one after that. The rain starts again, or maybe it never stopped, you're not sure. The sound is there, soft, steady, and you listen to it, the way it fills the room, the way it fills the silence, the way it holds you here, in the dark, in the quiet, in the quiet, in the quiet, in the space where the questions fade, where the thoughts soften, where the weight lifts. Just your eyes are closed, and you're not opening them. You're here and you're staying here, and the rain is falling, and your breath is slow, and your heart is beating, and the questions are still there, but they're not loud, not sharp, not the way they were. They're soft, blurred, like the water stain on the ceiling, like the light from the street, like the shape of the glass on the nightstand. You let them be. You let them sit. You let them wait. Your hand is on your chest, and you feel your heartbeat, the slow, steady rhythm, the way it doesn't ask anything, doesn't need anything, just beats, just is. You're here, in the dark, in the quiet, and you're staying here for now, for this moment, for the next one, and the one after that. The rain is fading, the sound softer now, a whisper, a breath, and then it's gone, or almost gone. Just the memory of it, the echo of it, in the quiet of the room. Your eyes are closed, and you're not opening them. You're here and you're staying here, and the ceiling is gray, and the water stain is somewhere above you, and the phone is face down, and the water glass is half full. And the questions are still there, but they're not questions anymore. They're just thoughts, thoughts that come and go, thoughts that don't need answers. Not tonight, not right now. Your breath is slow, your body still, your hand on your chest. You feel your heartbeat, the slow, steady rhythm, and you let it be. You're here, in this room, in this bed, in this moment, and you're staying here, for now, for this breath, for the next one, for the one after that. The fan on the dresser isn't even on, but you keep looking at it, like maybe it made a sound. It didn't. The room is still. The blanket is pulled up to your chin, but your left foot is out, the one that runs hot, and the temperature difference is just enough to feel. Something in your chest is tight. Not a pain. No, just a holding, like you're waiting for a sound that hasn't come yet. But the only sound is your own breathing, which you notice now because you're trying to make it quieter, which makes it feel louder. Your right eyelid twitches 3 times, then stops. It did this earlier, at your desk, around 2:0, when you were reading an email from Sharon that said, "Quick question" in the subject line, but the body of the email was 4 paragraphs. The twitch was there, under your eye, and you pressed your finger against it until it stopped. Your finger smells like hand soap still, the kind in the office bathroom, the one that smells like fake cucumber. You can almost smell it now, lying here, which doesn't make sense because you washed your hands hours ago, but the ghost of it is there. The pillow is too warm on one side, so you flip it, press your cheek to the cooler fabric. The seam of the pillowcase runs along your ear. You can feel the stitching, small bumps, and you don't move your head to adjust it because moving feels like a decision. And you don't want to make any decisions right now. Your stomach growls. Not hungry exactly, just a sound, a gurgle low in your gut. And you remember you ate a protein bar at 11, and then nothing until 4:30, when you ate the other half of a sandwich from yesterday. The bread a little stiff, and you ate it standing at the kitchen counter while scrolling through emails on your phone. The clock on the nightstand is face down because the light from it is too bright when you're trying to fall asleep. But now, you're not trying to fall asleep. You're just here. The numbers are hidden, which is maybe for the best. You don't want to know. Knowing would mean calculating how many hours until the alarm, and you'd rather not do that math. The math never helps. Your hip hurts, the left one, from lying on this side too long. But you don't want to roll over because rolling over means acknowledging that you're awake and you're still trying to pretend you're not. The twitch comes back, the eyelid, and you press your finger against it again. It stops. There was a Slack message from Mark at 9:47. You saw it come in while you were brushing your teeth. The phone on the bathroom counter. The screen lighting up. You didn't open it. You looked at the preview. A circling back on the Q3 numbers. And then the rest cut off. And you spat out the toothpaste and looked at your face in the mirror. And your face looked the same as always, but also not, because your eyes were tired in a way that's become normal. You didn't open the message. You put the phone in the drawer. You didn't want to know what the rest said. Now you're wondering what the rest said. You're wondering if it was urgent, or if it was the kind of thing that could wait until morning, and you're trying to decide which one is worse. The ceiling has a crack in it, a thin line from the light fixture toward the corner, and you've looked at it so many nights that you know exactly where it forks, where it splits into two smaller cracks that stop before the wall. You're looking at it now. The room is dark, but not dark enough. The street light through the blinds throwing stripes across the ceiling, and the crack disappears in one of the stripes and reappears in the next. You follow it with your eyes, back and forth, back and forth. Your neck is stiff, not from sleeping, because you haven't slept, from earlier, from the way you were sitting, hunched forward, elbows on the desk, chin in your hand, reading something on the screen that you read 3 times because the words weren't landed. The stiffness is on the right side. A dull pull when you turn your head, and you turn your head now just to feel it, to confirm it's still there. It is. It's been there for weeks, maybe months. Oh, you can't remember when it started. You can't remember when it became just a thing that is always there. Like the way your left shoe is always a little looser than the right. A thing you don't think about until you're walking, and then you think about it for a second, and then you forget again. There's a car outside, headlights sweeping across the blinds, the shadow of the blinds moving across the wall, then gone. The car doesn't stop. It keeps going, the sound of the engine fading, and then there's nothing again. Just the low hum of the house, the refrigerator maybe, or the water heater, a sound you don't hear during the day, but at night it's there, constant. And you've learned to listen for it, to know that everything is working, that nothing is. You remember the quarterly review. It was 3 weeks ago. Tuesday, 10:00 a.m., a video call. Sharon was in the office. You could see the window behind her. The blinds half open, a slice of gray sky. She had on a blue sweater, the one with the small hole at the cuff that she probably doesn't know about. She said, "Overall, good work." And then there was a pause. And the pause was longer than it should have been. And you knew that whatever came after the pause was going to be something you'd have to carry. She said you needed to increase visibility on your project. She said, stakeholder alignment, 3 times. She said you were doing solid work, but needed to be more proactive. You asked for examples. She said, just in general, and smiled. And the smile didn't reach her eyes. And you nodded and said, okay. And then the call ended, and you sat there for a minute looking at the empty screen, the little calendar icon in the corner showing your next meeting in 14 minutes. The word solid kept coming back. Solid work, like concrete, like something heavy and gray and unremarkable. You thought about it while you were in the bathroom later, standing at the sink, looking at the paper towel dispenser, the metal casing with fingerprints all over it. You thought about it while you were in the elevator, watching the numbers change, the fluorescent light buzzing overhead. You thought about it while you were driving home, the windshield wipers going because it was drizzling, the rhythmic squeak of the rubber against glass. Solid, duktun. You don't know why that word landed the way it did. It's not a bad word, but it landed in your chest and sat there. And now it's still there. 3 weeks later, sitting under your ribs, and you're lying here looking at the ceiling crack. And the word comes back, solid, and you exhale in a way that's not a sigh, but close enough. Your mouth is dry. The water glass is on the nightstand, half full. But you don't want to sit up to drink it because sitting up would mean admitting you're not going to sleep. And you're not ready to admit that yet. The glass has a ring of dust on the inside near the top, from where the water level was earlier in the week. You haven't washed it in a few days. You keep refilling it, drinking half, leaving the rest. There's a faint line of something on the rim. Maybe toothpaste. Maybe just the way the light hits it. You look at it, but you don't reach for it. Your calf is cramping, the left one, a tightening low in the muscle, and you point your toes toward your knee the way you learned somewhere. The way that stops it, and it works. The muscle releasing. But now there's a lingering ache, a tenderness you can feel without touching. You did a lot of standing today. Not for any reason. Just standing. At your desk, leaning against the edge, reading something on the screen, shifting weight from one foot to the other. You do that sometimes without realizing, standing when you could sit. Like sitting feels too much like settling into something you don't want to settle into. Your phone buzzes. The screen lights up on the nightstand, face down. A blue glow around the edges, then dark again. You don't pick it up. You don't want to know who it is. It's after midnight probably, so it's not a text from a friend because your friends don't text this late unless something is wrong. And if something was wrong, they'd call, so it's probably not a friend. It's probably an email, or Slack, or something that can wait. But now you're thinking about it. The phone. Face down. The battery probably low because you forgot to plug it in. And you're thinking about plugging it in. But that would mean sitting up, reaching for the cord, leaning over, and you don't want to do any of that. The blanket has a tag near your hip. The fabric tag with washing instructions. And it's rubbing against your skin through your shirt. A small irritation you could fix by moving the blanket an inch. But you don't. You let it rub. It's something to feel besides the tightness in your chest. The stiffness in your neck. The twitch that's starting again in your eyelid. The third time now, or fourth, you've lost count. There was a meeting on Wednesday, 2:15 p.m. A project meeting. The scope had expanded again. You'd done the initial plan 3 months ago. A 2-page document with clear phases and timelines. And you'd sent it to everyone. And no one had responded with any feedback. So you assumed it was fine. Then in the meeting, Jen said, "We should probably also include the Q4 rollout." And Marcus said, "And maybe the vendor review," and Laura said, "And we'll need to sync with the comms team on messaging," and you watched the timeline in your head stretch out, the phases overlapping, the deadline shifting, and you didn't say anything. You just wrote it down, added it to the list that is now on a sticky note on your desk, the handwriting getting smaller toward the bottom, running out of space. A little arrow pointing to the back of the note where you kept writing. You remember the feeling in the meeting, the way your jaw was tight, the way you were pressing your tongue against the roof of your mouth. A thing you do when you're trying not to say something. You didn't say anything. You nodded. You said, "Okay," and "makes sense," and "I can add that in." And then after the meeting, you sat at your desk and stared at the sticky note for a long time. And then you got up and went to the kitchen and stood in front of the open refrigerator for a minute, not looking for anything, just standing there, the cold air on your face. And then you closed the door and went back to your desk and opened the document and started adding things. Your hand is asleep. Your right hand, the one under the pillow. The pins and needles are starting, that weird buzzing. And you pull your hand out and shake it a little. The fingers flopping, and the blood comes back and it hurts. That sharp prickling, and you hold your hand still and wait for it to stop. Your palm is red where the pillow seam pressed into it. There's a small callus on your middle finger from the way you hold your pen. A hard spot of skin you didn't have a year ago. You run your thumb over it. It's rough. You don't write that much. Not by hand. But you write enough. Lists. Notice. Textaren. Rapapsemis. Handosaigisrao. The backs of envelopes. The margins of printouts. Things you don't want to type because typing feels permanent. And writing by hand feels like you can still change your mind. The fan. You're looking at it again. The blades are still. Dust on the edges. A fine gray line you can see in the dim light. You should dust it. You've been meaning to dust it for weeks. You think about it sometimes during the day. The fan, the dust, the way the air smells when you turn it on for the first time in the spring. That dusty smell. And then you forget about it until you're lying here at night looking at it. It's not a big thing. It's not important. But it's there and you see it. And you don't do anything about it. And then you think about all the other things you see and don't do anything about. And the list gets longer. And you stop thinking about it because the list is too long. Your left knee aches. Not a sharp pain. Just a dull throb like it remembers something. You bent down today to pick up a paperclip that fell on the floor. And when you straightened up, your knee made a sound. A small crack. And the person in the cubicle next to you looked over, and you pretended you didn't notice. You've been noticing more sounds lately. Your knees, your neck, your jaw when you chew, the way your shoulders sound when you roll them back. You're 34. You're 34 and your body makes sounds like a house settling. And you don't know if that's normal or if it's the accumulated weight of sitting, of standing, of hunching, of the chair that doesn't fit right. The screen that's too low. The hours you spend in positions you wouldn't choose to be in if you were thinking about them. But you're not thinking about them. You're just in them. And then the neighbor upstairs is walking. Heavy footsteps. Slow. From the bedroom to the bathroom. Then the sound of water running. Then footsteps back. The ceiling creaks in a specific spot, near the corner. And you know that spot now. You've mapped it from the sound, the way the wood bends under weight. The footsteps stop. The water stops. There's silence. And then the sound of a door closing. Soft. And then nothing. You wait for more sounds, but they don't come. The neighbor is probably in bed now, probably asleep. And you're here, listening for sounds that aren't coming. And you realize you're holding your breath, and you let it out. You remember a job before this one. 6 years ago, a smaller office, a window that faced a brick wall, a desk with a drawer that stuck. You left at 5:30 most days. You went for runs after work, Not because you liked running, but because it was something to do. A way to mark the end of the day. A way to feel your legs move, your lungs work, the sweat on your back. You don't run anymore. You think about it sometimes. In the morning when the alarm goes off, you think about getting up and putting on shoes and going outside. But then you look at your phone, at the emails that came in overnight, and you think about what you have to do today. And the shoes stay by the door. They're still there. You see them every morning when you leave for work. Gray sneakers with white laces, the soles a little worn on the outside edge, the way you walk. You see them and you think, maybe tomorrow. And then you close the door, and you're in the hallway, the elevator, the car. The car. And by the time you get home, it's dark, and you're tired, and you think, maybe tomorrow again. The water glass. You're looking at it. The light from the street hits it at an angle now. The shadows shifted while you were lying here. And the glass has a small chip on the rim you never noticed before. You wonder when that happened. You wonder if you drank from it after the chip. If you've been putting your mouth against a chipped edge without knowing. You run your tongue along your own lip. Feel for a cut. But there's nothing. The glass is just chipped. And you didn't know. And now you know. And knowing changes nothing, but you'll think about it now every time you pick it up. The chip, the sharp edge, the way it might cut you someday. Your stomach growls again, louder this time. You press your hand against it. Feel the hollow beneath your palm. You didn't eat dinner. You meant to. You opened the refrigerator at 7:30 and looked at the leftover pasta from 2 nights ago, and the container of soup from before that, and the half-empty jar of pickles, and the yogurt that expired yesterday. And you looked at all of it, and closed the door, and ate a handful of crackers standing at the counter. The salt on your fingers, the crunch too loud in the quiet kitchen. You told yourself you'd eat something later. But later came, and you were here, in bed with the blanket pulled up, and the water glass with the chip and the dust and the half-full water you haven't drunk, and your stomach is empty, and you know it. And you're not going to get up and fill it, because getting up means starting something. And your phone buzzes again. Twice this time, 2 buzzes, which means a text, not an email. You look at it. The screen is face down, but the light is bright around the edges, a soft blue that makes the dust on the nightstand visible. Tiny particles you don't see during the day. You don't pick it up. You tell yourself it can wait. You tell yourself whoever it is, they're fine. It's not an emergency, and you'll look at it in the morning. But your brain is already trying to guess. It's probably not your mom. She goes to bed early. It's probably not your friend from college. He has a kid now. He's asleep by 10. It's probably work. It's probably something about tomorrow. A meeting that got moved. A document that needs review. A question that could have been asked at 4:0 but wasn't. And now it's being asked at whatever time it is. And you'll see it in the morning, and you'll have to respond, and you'll start your day already behind, already catching up, already carrying something you didn't ask for. You roll onto your back. The movement is slow, deliberate, like moving through water. Your hip protests, the left one, the one that was hurting before. And now your right hip is flat against the mattress, and there's a different pressure, a different ache, and you shift your weight a little, trying to find a spot that doesn't hurt. But there isn't one, not really. Just spots that hurt less. Your neck is stiff on both sides now, the stiffness spreading, and you turn your head left and right, slow, feeling the pull, the small cracks, the way the muscles release a little and then tighten again. The ceiling crack is directly above you now. You're looking at it straight on, the way it starts at the light fixture, a thin line like a pencil mark, and then forks, one branch going toward the window, the other toward the closet. You've looked at it so many times you could draw it from memory. You could draw it with your eyes closed. You close your eyes and see it anyway. The white lines on the white ceiling, and behind your eyelids, there's a red haze, the light from the street, the blood vessels in your lids, and you open your eyes again, because the red haze is worse than the crack. There was an email on Tuesday, 2:47 p.m., from someone in another department, someone you'd never met, asking for a quick turnaround on something that should have been requested a week ago. You wrote back and said you could have it by Thursday. They wrote back and said they needed it by Wednesday, if possible. You didn't respond for an hour. You sat there looking at the email, at the words, if possible, and you thought about what it would mean to say no, to say Thursday is the earliest I can do, and you thought about what would happen after that. The follow-up email, the just checking in, the Slack message, the way you'd be the one who wasn't a team player, who wasn't flexible, who wasn't aligned. You wrote back and said you'd have it by Wednesday. You worked until 7:0 that night, at your desk, the office empty, the lights on a timer that shut off every 20 minutes, so you had to wave your arm to turn them back on, and you finished it, and you sent it, and the person wrote back, thanks, and you sat there in the dark office, the lights off because you'd forgotten to wait. Your left hand is resting on your stomach, your right hand by your side, and you notice your breathing is shallow, your chest barely rising, and you try to take a deeper breath, fill your lungs, but it catches somewhere. Not quite a spasm, just a hesitation, like your lungs don't want to expand all the way. You breathe out, slow, and try again. And this time it's easier, the air moving deeper, and you feel your ribs expand, the stretch in your chest, the way your shoulders drop a little. You hold it for a second and let it out. Your chest is less tight now, not gone, just less. The fan, you're looking at it again. There's a cobweb between the blades, a thin gray thread you've never noticed, connecting the blade to the metal casing. You wonder how long it's been there. You wonder if it was there when you moved in. If it's been there the whole time, hidden in the space between the blades, and you're only seeing it now because the light is hitting it differently, because you're lying here at an angle you don't usually lie, because you're looking at something you've looked at 100 times but not really seen. The cobweb moves a little, a draft from somewhere, the air shifting, and you watch it sway, a tiny pendulum, and then it's still again. You remember a conversation in the break room. Last week, Wednesday maybe, or Thursday. Your foot is cold now, the one that was out from under the blanket, the left one. You pull it back under. Feel the warmth of the sheet, the blanket, the heat trapped between them, and your foot warms up slowly, the cold fading. And now your other foot is too warm. And you push it out, just the toes, just the tips, and the temperature difference is back, the balance you've learned to keep. The phone. You pick it up. You don't know why. You just do. You turn it over and the screen lights up and it's 1:51 a.m. and there are 3 notifications. 2 are texts from a group chat you're in. Something about a dinner next week. People you haven't seen in months. People you keep meaning to respond to. People whose messages you read and think, he'll reply later, and then later comes, and you don't. The third is an email. You see the preview. It's from Sharon. The subject line is following up. You don't open it. You look at the time again, 1, and you put the phone back on the nightstand, face down. And you lie there, and you don't close your eyes, because if you close your eyes, you'll see the email, the subject line, the words following up, and you'll wonder what it says. And you'll start drafting a response in your head, and you'll be at work before you're at work. And you're already at work. In a way, I'm always... The neighbor's light goes off. You didn't know it was on, but you notice when it's off. The change in the light through the window. The way the shadows shift. A little darker now, a little deeper. You didn't hear a click, didn't hear a switch. But the light is off and you know the neighbor is in bed now, maybe asleep. And you're here, and the room is darker. And you can see less of the ceiling crack, less of the fan, less of the fan, less of the dust on the nightstand. And it's easier to pretend you're somewhere else, or no one, or nothing. Just a body in a bed. Your jaw hurts. There was a project that ended last month, or it was supposed to end. You delivered the final report, the one with the charts and the summary and the recommendations, and you sent it to the group, and you waited for feedback, and no one responded. You followed up a week later. Still nothing. You followed up again. Someone said, "Looks good, thanks." And that was it. Months of work. The scope expansions. The late nights. The weekend hours. The sticky notes. The documents. The version numbers that went from 1 to V12. And at the end, it was, "Looks good, thanks." You didn't know what to do with that. You closed the document. You moved on to the next thing. There's always a next thing. The list doesn't end. You finish one thing, and there are 3 more waiting. And you don't get to sit with the finished thing. Don't get to feel done. Because done isn't a feeling. Done is just a state that exists for a moment before you start the next thing. And then done becomes before. And before becomes during. And during becomes the only place you live. You roll onto your side again. The left side. Your hip protests, but you stay there. The weight on the bone. The pressure. The ache that's familiar now. That you know the shape of. That you've learned to accommodate. You pull your knees up a little. Curl into yourself. Your hands together near your chest. Your forehead almost touching your knuckles. This position used to feel safe. It doesn't feel safe now. It just feels like a position. Like you're trying to take up less space. Like you're trying to be smaller. Like if you're small enough, you won't be noticed. Won't be asked for things. Won't be the one who has to carry the list. The projects, the emails, the Slack messages, the quick questions, the following ups, the if possibles. Your stomach growls again. You press your hand against it. Feel the emptiness, the hollow. You think about the protein bar in your bag, the one you keep for emergencies, the one that's been in there for 2 weeks. The wrapper crinkled, the bar probably stale. You don't get up to get it. You lie there with your hand on your stomach, and your knees pulled up, and your forehead near your knuckles, and you feel the emptiness, and you let it be there. The phone buzzes again. Your left calf. is cramping again. The same spot. You point your toes toward your knee, hold it. And the cramp releases, but there's a knot now. A tight ball of muscle you can feel with your other foot. The heel pressing into the calf, the hard knot, and you massage it with your heel, back and forth, feeling the muscle loosen a little. The knot smaller, but still there. You'll feel it tomorrow when you walk. The tenderness, the memory of the cramp, the way your leg will remind you of tonight, of this position, of the hours you spent trying to sleep and not sleeping, trying to be still and not being still, trying to be quiet and not being quiet in your head. The fan, the cobweb is gone. Not a car, something else. Your friend from college, the one with the kid. Your shoulder is tight, the left one. You roll it back. Feel the muscles shift, the knot near the top, the place where you hold things, where you carry the weight, where you store the tension you don't let anyone see. The water glass. You reach for it. The neighbor's footsteps. Not above, but outside. Somewhere. A door closing. A voice, low. A laugh. Short, then quiet. Your right leg is twitching. A small spasm in the thigh. The muscle jumping under the skin. And you watch it. The way the blanket moves. The tiny pulse. And it stops. And then it starts again. And you put your hand on it. Feel the muscle contract. Release. Contract. Release. And is not painful. Just strange. Just the body doing something the body does. Something you don't control. Something that happens whether you want it to or not. Like the crack in the ceiling. You're looking at it again. Your eyes are heavy. A sound brings you back. Not loud. A car maybe. Or a door. Or something in the house. A creak. A settling. The kind of sound a house makes when it's old, when it's been standing for years, when it's used to the weight, used to the nights, used to the silence and the sounds and the people inside it. Lying in beds, breathing, waiting, thinking, waiting, think. You're back. Your eyes are open. The crack is there. The fan is there. The water glass is there. Your phone is there. Your hand is on your chest. Your heartbeat is there. Steady. The same as before. The same as always. The thing that keeps going. The thing that doesn't stop. The thing that doesn't know about the emails, or the meetings, or the scope, or the list. The thing that just does what it does. That just keeps time. That just marks the hours. That just goes. You think about the morning. You think about the alarm. Your phone lights up. A notification. You don't look. You turn over onto your stomach.